was about thinking I've only got 12 years of work left to go. How am I going to accumulate that money?
Short of what?
About $1 million.
A lot of people have been in the position that you were in. Tell me how it unfolds.
So I've now left the studio and I'm on my way to Gary's 1 into 5 development. This is cool. 5 townhouses.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start, mate? I always just assumed you go copy paste, same kitchen, same layout, same everything. But you've got slightly different designs.
It's not about what we like, it's what suits the buyer. I just pinch myself every day. It just blows my mind. That was really where this all started, was just the realisation. That $240,000 that I was going to lose because of the building costs, I've taken a lot of learnings out of that. There was a lot of sleepless nights in that second project. It's just about persistence.
You've just raised $3 million. Can you unpack that a little bit before we leave? If you ever thought it was too late to build a property portfolio in Australia, you're going to enjoy this episode. My name's Todd Sloan. This is a Pizza and Property podcast, and this episode is powered by InvestorKit, Property Strats, and the Property Developer Network. More about our awesome show sponsors in the show notes below. But right now, let's get straight into the episode and hear the incredible story of Gary Carnell. Gary, this is a pleasure to have you here, mate. You got quite the story.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Mate, I'm actually really looking forward to unpacking this because I think that there's a lot of people that have been in the position that you were in that are potentially working their way through it, looking for a better way, a faster way, a more profitable way. And I think there's going to be a few people that are just like, I didn't even realize you could do that. There's going to be a lot of eyes open, mate. But is there anything you want to kind of set the stage with your story before we start talking about it and before we actually head off to one of your developments?
Yeah, look, I probably the thing for me was that at a certain stage of my life, I'm in the later part of my life, that it came as a realisation to me that I wasn't going to have enough in my super fund to be able to, I guess, live comfortably to how we want to live. That was really where this all started, was just the realisation.
Tell me the story of that. Do you remember like where you were or a bit of the detail?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember it was in 2018. It was in November. I can't remember exactly the trigger point. I've always been very careful to make sure that the planning is in place. So I might have been looking at maybe the balance of my super fund, but there was just a realisation there that if I kept going the way I was going, that I just wasn't going to have enough at retirement age.
How much? Like you're talking short of what?
It would have been short of probably about $1 million.
And you're what age when you're realising that?
That was at 53.
How'd that feel? Because I can't imagine great.
It wasn't great. It was about thinking I've only got 12 years of work left to go, and how am I going to accumulate that money? And it is about looking after your family as well, and that was really the concern for me, was how am I going to do this and keep the family comfortable.
So obviously now you're quite passionate about, like, you've educated yourself pretty in depth. You've got some A players around you, like you've built a great team. Normally when you meet people that are a bit more passionate about it, it's kind of something that they've been passionate about through maybe 20s and 30s, but you're picking it up later. Was it because you weren't passionate about it to begin with, or did you had some negative influences around money, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look, no, I've always been interested in making sure financially I was okay.
Yep.
It was more probably I hadn't paid enough attention to it up until that stage.
Got it.
Life just is life. You do life, and I think that's when that realisation hit me that actually my working life was coming to the back end of the time.
So it kind of crept up on you.
Pretty much, yeah.
So from there, you're basically looking at this going, all right, something needs to change. And where does that take you? Because that takes you to property, to shares, to your super fund. Like, tell me how it unfolds.
I already had an investment property that had been bubbling along in the background. Hadn't done anything great for us. But I then needed to go and speak with somebody of authority who had an idea around this, about how could I invest into the future and make sure that I was going to be comfortable come retirement age.
Okay, so you're looking to basically set up a team of, if I don't know how to do this, let's find someone that does.
Correct, yes.
Got it. And where did it sort of unfold from there? This is how you got into Subdivision?
Yes, yeah. I decided to go and speak with a company and a gentleman that I had known. I had some previous contact with, but I hadn't spoken to him for a while. So I went back to Nadal Rashid from Silverdale Properties, and I spoke with him in regards about what my thoughts were, my concerns were, and what I needed to get to from a retirement superannuation.
I know Nadal very well. I think Nadal was actually like quite literally like the 5th episode on this podcast. Okay. So if you guys are interested, if you're watching on YouTube, you won't see it. iTunes or Spotify, rewind all the way back. He did a deal years ago. It was like a resi to commercial deal, and he'd shot the lights out, made like 800 grand equity or something like that. So you've basically found Nadal and gone, okay, like what's the plan look like? And then he started putting together a bit more of a, I think you should go down the manufacturing equity kind of path? Correct,
yeah. Okay. And that was the eye-opener for me. When I went to Nadal, it was about thinking about investment properties and accumulating, but it came very clear that I needed to actually manufacture capital if I wanted to get to where I wanted to get to.
How'd that make you feel?
I'd never, ever considered manufacturing capital, so I was a bit confused about that because I didn't know. I didn't know anything about how to manufacture capital.
What I got to ask them, what made you go, okay, now maybe we can do this? Because when someone says, hey, I want you to buy a house and knock it down, and then it's like, hold on a second, this feels like we're going backwards. Like obviously right now, you and I are both very aware of the pros of this, but if you're pretty fresh at it, that must have felt a bit like intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. Walking into something where you don't know exactly what you're doing. I'm always live by get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So it was an opportunity for me to learn and take myself out of the comfort zone and do something that was different to what I'd planned for, but could see that it was going to benefit me.
So the mindset side of things for you, is this also something that you started like picking up then in your early 50s when you were walking down this path, like property wise and investing wise, or have you always had a pretty strong mindset and you just attached it to finance?
No, look, I'm an ordinary person, and I think in that 2018 period, a saying that came to me that I learned was, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I've really lived now by that mantra around saying, well, if I want to have enough money in my retirement, then it's up to me to be able to produce that. Nobody wakes up in the morning other than myself and says, geez, I hope Gary's going to be okay financially when he retires. It's only me that actually does that. So that's where that mantra come in, that if it's going to be, it's up to me. So I needed to do something about it.
It's like full agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember where that came from?
No, I don't. It might have even been your podcast, to be honest. I've listened to a couple of podcasts, and that particular saying just really resonated with me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me. I like it. And so you've then turned this into your very first subdivision, which was in 2019, 2020. When did you do it? 2020.
2020.
Can you kind of start walking us through the details? What did it look like?
Yeah, so I found a property down in Morphett Vale.
That's in South Australia for anyone else playing at home.
Yep. Yes. There was the guidance from Nadal as well, but I purchased the property and then went through the process of subdividing it. The goal in this development was to put a 1 into 2. And to be selling off the land at settlement.
And why the land? Why not build out?
Baby steps, really.
Okay.
This was the first one that I've ever tried. So rather than go through the whole process of the build out, and also a timing thing as well, because clearly the settlement of the land was a lot quicker than waiting for the build to come out of it.
Okay. Did COVID end up affecting it much, or?
No.
Like, because we all know what happened during the COVID boom. Obviously, there's probably a bit of a good effect that may have come with it. When did you end up selling?
I think I was out of it before COVID actually set in, so good timing, maybe.
Yeah. All right, and how long did it take all up for the first one?
The first one from a purchase to the settlement of the land was just over 12 months.
What's the biggest teachable? What's the biggest takeaway that you really learned from that one and you took to the next one?
It was interesting. That first project went very smooth to the point where I got to the end of it and I thought, well, that worked really well. How come that's so easy? Why isn't everybody doing this?
Okay, so for you, it was like, it was so easy. It was almost this like, I'm just going to keep doing this. And by the way, like looking around the room, like why isn't everyone else lining up for this?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
And was project number 2 just as smooth, or was that a little bit more like a few hiccups presented?
Oh, no. Number 2 was had a lot of hiccups in it. Learnt a lot out of project 2 because project 1 went so smoothly. Project 2, where I expected it to go the same, just didn't go the same.
Can you open up a little bit of that?
Project 2 was about building out the properties. And so I subdivided 1 into 3, so it got a little bit bigger this time with the subdivision. But the plan was always to build these ones out. We got to a certain stage, and the price of the builds went up quite significantly. Which then made the project not profitable.
So what year was this?
It was in the COVID time.
Okay, so like 21?
Yeah, it was about 21.
21, okay. So yeah, so you would have maybe did you get the site for a pretty good deal, but then building costs started exploding? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, exactly right. Yep.
Gotcha. So with number 2, you're stepping up a little bit. You've gone from 1 into 2 to 1 into 3, plus you're actually building out.
Correct.
What's the biggest takeaway for someone that's already leaning forward going, yeah, okay, I'm resonating with this story. What's the thing that you'd want to be like, remember this part, because this is where I got a bit tripped up?
Well, I learned, as I mentioned, the first one went so smoothly, thinking that this one was going to go the same. What I guess my biggest takeout was learning how to pivot, and that there is an answer for every obstacle that comes to you. So I learnt how to pivot. We were planning on building out, and we were very close to going to putting pricing on it and putting them out into the market, where the builder came back to us and had increased the price on each build by about $80,000. So $240,000 extra just wiped out any profit that we were going to make on those deals.
But you hadn't taken it to market yet off the plan?
No.
But if you had have, and you had have signed the contracts, that's it, you would then...
Stuck, losing money.
Geez, that's some good timing, just by the hair. Like,
Yeah,
okay. And so what ended up happening then? You ended up being able to raise the price because the market met it, or how'd you solve it?
Well, the problem with that is that the market wouldn't have met that price. So we were at a opportunity to be able to pivot and go, well, like the first project, then let's just sell the blocks of land rather than...
So you didn't build out?
I didn't end up building out. That's where I had to reverse out of it and go, well, okay, let's try something different to still come out with some profit at the end of the development.
Okay, and so when they were subdivided into the 3 then, were they subdivided into Torrens then, so it was an easier sell?
Correct, yeah. So there's 3 blocks that I sold, Torrens titled.
Got it, and still walked away with a profit?
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but still was in the positive mode. So still made around about $50,000 out of that deal, which isn't a lot, but when you're faced with a loss, I was pretty happy with that.
Okay, but things are really turning around now though. So deal number 1, how much did you end up making out of that one?
About $50,000.
About $50,000. Deal number 2, it's looking like you're going to lose money, and then it's looking more like, okay, no, we're pivoting and we're still making 50 grand.
Yeah.
So you're not shooting the lights out with like hundreds of thousands just yet, but
Not yet.
we're just getting warmed up.
Yeah. And that deal, that second deal was over a 2-year period. So if you kind of do the sums on that, $25,000 a year is not a great result, but still in the positive. So,
well, they say you don't go broke taking a profit.
that's true.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about the learnings though, because I think this is one of the things that I actually can't remember who said it, but this was on the show a long time ago. They were talking about people like to quantify success in dollars, and the dollars, how they compound over time, which is an obvious way to measure things. But the thing that gets forgotten is the amount of information you learn, the amount of skills that you begin to gather, and the weapon that you end up becoming over the course of a 5-10 year period. Now, you and I are about to jump in the car and go for a drive to a now 1 into 5 subdivision that you have built out. This is where things are changing for you. And this is the deal that's now actually going to unlock you and essentially meet your goals super-wise, yeah?
Correct, yep.
So just in case anyone was listening going, like 50 grand, like why'd you keep going, Gary? I want to actually hear your answer to that question. Why did you keep going? Because those were one experience pretty good, next experience or a bit iffy. What made you actually move forward?
Probably the thing that I learned in there was that $240,000 that I was going to lose because of the building costs was $240,000 worth of information and learnings that I took out of that. That was the most valuable learnings that I had. So I took a lot of information out of that project. And if I go back to my mantra, if it's going to be, it's up to me. Again, there's not a lot of people who would be saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that." Yeah, it's me that has to take something out of that and takes myself forward. So, whilst it wasn't what I planned it to be, I still came out of it in a positive way and said, well, I've taken a lot of learnings out of that, and now, and in all of them, I've enjoyed doing them. So I still want to keep going, but I took a lot of learnings out of that to watch for the next project.
The numbers in property can feel, I'm going to say disparative, and I don't know if that's actually the correct word, but I'm going to run with it anyway. 50 grand, if I just handed you 50 grand right now, you wouldn't be like, oh, is that it? You'd be like, thanks for the 50 grand, Todd. That's pretty good. Like it's still moving forward. But I think because we talk about property in so many millions of dollars so much of the time, which obviously that's what you're aiming for. That's what you're really wanting to create. But if you're still moving forward with a few deals that aren't shooting the lights out, but they take you to something where you can really start to get into your stride, it's worth every learning along the way.
Oh, absolutely. As a person, and remembering, as I said at the start, I'm just an ordinary man. I still don't see myself as a property developer. And
you got the vest on though.
I've got the. Maybe that's one of the learnings that I've had. But yeah, I still pinch myself to this day, going, I'm just an ordinary suburban man that has had some opportunities, and I've got to learn from them. And to your point, 50,000 still I was happy with that. There was a lot of sleepless nights in that second project where I thought to myself, how am I going to get myself out of this situation? And it's just about persistence and learning to pivot and be able to change your view on how you're going to carry things out.
If it's going to be, it's up to me. One thing before we leave, I want to open up. You say, like, I'm just an ordinary man, but you've just raised, what, $3 million?
For
this project?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that doesn't sound like normal Joe status. Like, can you unpack that a little bit before we leave?
If someone had told me, Gary, we want you to go and raise, that $3 million, I really would have just laughed. There's no way I could do that. But through the learnings and through the guidance of my A team that I've put together, I've been able to go to different places that I wouldn't have normally gone and been able to raise that funding for this project.
How'd that feel?
I still can't believe it to this day that I've been able to do that, because you don't see yourself as capable of doing that. But when I look back and I go, wow, I'm pretty proud of that, to be honest, that I've raised that. And it's been through institutions, but also through some money partners that have come on board that I would never have expected to actually want to invest in something that I'm doing. And those people have become quite good friends now because they want to learn from what I'm doing while they put in some investment into a project.
And so whilst this isn't a JV episode, this is about your story, Gary, I do want to ask though, what was one of the biggest takeaways from actually like dealing with money partners? And you said financial institutions, but you're not talking about like going to CommBank financial institutions. You're like different level, yeah?
Correct, yeah. The thing I learned was that there is other companies out there that people put money into for them to invest in projects. I never knew that. And to be able to go there and find that there is people who are willing and interested in investing in a project was quite a big learning for me.
I don't know if you found this, but along my journey, I've also found that it comes back to the questions that you ask, because I've spoke to a few people about this actually just very recently. and we were talking about like different structures and lending and different things that you can do. And they're like, oh, my broker never suggested that. And it was a case of, and I actually knew their broker. I was like, they've got a good broker. But it was a case of, because they're not going to suggest something that has a financial acumen of up here. And for anyone on iTunes or Spotify, I've got my hand above my head right now. If yours is like down a bit lower, because you don't want to start putting advanced strategies or different kinds of sets in front of people. But if you educate yourself to the point where you actually know the right questions to ask, so many more doors start opening up. And it sounds like that's potentially what's happened for you a bit, where you've looked at it and gone, I didn't even know this world existed. And it wasn't that it didn't exist beforehand, but it was because then you started going, like asking the right questions to the right people.
Through my time, I've built my A team, and I've got a great financial broker.
Yep.
And I went to my financial broker for this project and showed him what I wanted to do and what I needed. And my broker was very honest with me, and he said, I can't actually help you with that. That's out of my league. And then in our discussion around where I may need to go, he encouraged me to go down that path on this particular project.
What a gun.
Yeah, great guy, great guy.
Do you want to give him a shout out? Because that is like great guy. Yeah.
Grant Renshaw from Advantage Finance. I've been working with him for years, and he's always helped me out and always been able to get the finance done for me. But in this particular case, he said, as much as I want to, you actually need to go somewhere else.
Yeah, this isn't my lane.
Yeah, which was great.
The fact that he didn't just go, I'll kind of try my best and haphazard it and then potentially cost you the deal. Correct. And convince you it was you or the finance when it was actually a skill set of the broker, that speaks volumes. That's brilliant. All right, so within 7 years, you've done 2 developments. Your third is underway right now and at lockup stage. That's where I want to go. Let's jump in the car now, and I want to start talking a little bit more detail around acquiring that site, what costings, good things, bad things. Let's start unpacking everything a little bit more in person, mate. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So I've now left the studio and I'm on my way to Gary's 1:5 development. We're going to be unpacking a little bit more of the numbers, seeing a bit more of the detail around what's happened, and I'm pretty sure everything is at lockup stage now. Finding out everything we can to really show how this man has gone from I'm stuck, I'm in my early 50s, to 3 developments and unlocking himself now, getting him towards his goal of financial freedom. I'm looking forward to unpacking the rest of this one. So we're on the outskirts of Adelaide right now, heading to Modbury. So for those of you guys wondering, what's Modbury like as an area? So it's about 14 k's outside of Adelaide. We're talking around that sort of northeastern sort of side. Median house price currently sitting at around sort of mid-7s. It wasn't always like that. It's the past 5 years, it's exploded in price like much of Adelaide has. It used to sit around the kind of 400,000 mark. Past 12 months, it's seen around sort of 7% growth. So certainly hasn't been one of our top performers in Adelaide, but it's still seen some pretty decent growth to it. Currently sitting with a rental yield of around 4%, and it's really that classic sort of family area. Days on market are, I think, around that kind of 44 sort of mark. So it's not flying off the shelf, but there's certainly still some solid demand around here. Like right now, being on the edge of Adelaide, we've just passed like the Adelaide Aquatic Centre, and Google Maps is telling me that I'm about 20 minutes away. It's got good proximity, it's got good quality schools, and it's a solid family location. Also connected with some good public transport, the O-Bahn going out there, hospital, and a Westfield shopping centre as well. But that's enough about the where. Let's start talking a little bit more about the what, and keep chatting with Gary about this 1:5 development. This is cool. All right, Gary. So, 5 townhouses.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start, mate?
Well, where would you like to start? I could take
Number
you
one?
anywhere.
This one?
Yeah, number 1. So
Let's do it.
The property is obviously 5 units on this side.
Yep.
I've got 3 townhouses, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom.
Yep.
They are all roughly around about 130 square metre builds, and on the other side the 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouses, and they average around about just over the 100 square metre mark as well.
Why don't we have a look at one of the 3 and 2s?
Absolutely. Downstairs we've got the single garage on the side, and then we've also got the European style laundry will go into here, and then the kitchen and the living area is down the bottom. Really roomy, which I'm really happy with.
Tell me a little bit more about the kitchen. So you're going like a big galley, you're doing like an island?
Not in this one. The different ones some have got the island bench and some have just got the galley bench across there.
I always just assumed you go copy paste, same kitchen, same layout, same everything. But you've got slightly different designs. How does that sort of affect your cost?
Yeah, look, I can't give you the exact difference, but on average, they work out where it works for the whole 5 properties on the site.
Gotcha. Okay, so the numbers still stack up.
Absolutely, yeah.
What was the biggest learning that you really took away from this, going from 1 into 2 to 1 into 3 to now 1 into 5?
Probably the biggest learning that I had was around the subdivision. The first subdivision that I did, the 1 into 2, was around about $25,000. The subdivision for this 5 townhouse property sits around about the $60,000 mark. But the first ones were Torrance titles. This is a community titled project.
So you got a 1 into 5 for 60,000, whereas the first 1 into 2 was around 25.
Correct, yeah.
A lot more titles, and obviously difference between Torrance title and community title, but not a lot more cost.
Not what I expected. I actually thought it was going to be a lot more expensive to do a 5 townhouse project.
Why don't we head upstairs, mate? So as far as the stairs, I've been told stairs is something budgets can really blow out. They can cost a lot of money. How do you design them? What are you putting on them? What was your experience with this? Was it a bit of a non-event or?
Yeah, pretty much a non-event. My experience has been that the cost of it was included in the build cost. I didn't see anything extra. I've decided to go with carpet. For me, that makes it a little bit more of a family home, a little bit more warm, rather than putting maybe timber on there, which can increase the cost.
You know instantly what I like about this design personally is that there's not like a huge landing. You don't have this, this is enough space that you can work with it, that you can move around. Yeah. But I've seen so many designs where it's not quite a living room, but it's so much more than a hallway, and it's just space that could have been dedicated to a bedroom, a living room or something else.
Yeah. On the other side, we've actually put up the top of the stairs is enough space for a study nook to Perfect. Go in there, yeah.
Awesome. This really is getting close to finished, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so as far as windows are concerned, you didn't have to have any kind of blurs, frostings?
There's a certain level you've got to frost them, so they're done, but not at this height.
That's the hospital just there in the distance?
Yep, the hospital and Tea Tree Plaza is just behind that.
So we're right around the corner from the shops, but close enough that you're walking distance, but not so close that you can hear it.
Going through the due diligence, the hospital played a big part in my decision making on this project because, well, those have been designed with either an investor or somebody who is a professional that works at the hospital that would see the value in renting or buying these, because they are 2-bedroom, but I've made them so that they've both got bathrooms, so it can actually do a 2-roomed unit.
So you're basically saying it could almost be rented out separately?
If I was an investor, I would rent those rooms out as opposed to just the building, because they'll get more for that, because both rooms have got their own ensuite attached to them.
It's almost like a little mini rooming house, you mean?
Correct, yeah.
Very cool. And obviously wardrobe built in?
Yep. Another bedroom, they'll have a row built in here. That's a linen press. Obviously the bathroom, still a skylight to go in there, just to lighten it up. A lot of the things I've been speaking about is all about what I've been doing, but one of the important parts for me in this project is having my wife as a part of this development.
So you guys are very much a team?
Absolutely, and she's probably got better taste than what I have, so she's been doing a lot of the colour selections and making the selections for tiles, for the walls, the timber flooring she's selected, and the carpets and all those. So it's great to have her on board and picking the colours, because not too sure what my taste would come out like.
And it's such a simple thing to get wrong as well. Like, and it costs the exact same amount to paint a room a good colour or a bad colour.
Correct. And she's got a great taste for things that I don't see, where she'll say, look, if the buyer is this, then maybe they would like that. So it's not about what we like, it's what suits the buyer.
Go team.
I'm particularly keen and interested in these. I've got a real passion around making sure that, particularly in a two-storey place, that the waterproofing has been tested and it's correct. I've heard horror stories about it. So when you're building a product for somebody, I just want to make sure that product is right.
It's actually going to do its job.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about like the design and the layout. Like, this is just all, these were the standard plans. This is kind of what it came with.
Yeah, it's what was on the plan, but at the same time, I actually quite like that the shower will go right across with the vanity, and the toilet will be in here as well. But for me, it's set out to a very usable manner.
So did you end up changing anything in the design?
Nothing really in the designs. I did add a couple of things like skylights, particularly over in the 2-bedroom townhouses. Yep. They were just a little bit dark, and for the buyer that I'm looking for in there, I think they're going to really want a little bit more natural light in the bathrooms.
Makes sense.
I just pinch myself every day that this is what I'm doing. It just blows my mind that.
Because you come from a retail background?
Correct, yeah.
And still work in retail, like this isn't your job?
No, it's still retail. Like to make it my job maybe, but certainly right now it's a balancing of the two jobs.
Was there a reason you couldn't do like the 5, 3 and 2s?
I think it's just what would fit on here. The initial design actually had them running that way, and so I'm assuming maybe they got knocked back, and so they had to go back to the drawing boards to see how we could get 5 on here, and that's where I think the 2 bedrooms size-wise had to go on here. This is where the study will go. We purposely didn't build anything in there, any joinery into there, because we really want to give the owners the opportunity to either put a desk in there, or they might just want to put a lounge at the top of the landing. So it gives them the choice.
And so square meterage wise, like the living space was a little bit smaller obviously, and obviously only the 2 bedrooms.
Only the 2 bedrooms, yep.
But otherwise, like, so you still get your ensuite up here?
So this one still has its ensuite.
Okay, and this one is pretty much mirror image of the last one?
Correct. And we've got the bathroom again in this room, and again we'll put a skylight in there just to get some natural light into there.
So this 2-bedder here is different to next door? Like slightly?
Slightly, yeah.
And so they're all going to have slightly different prices then by the sounds of things?
Roughly, yeah. Look, we're trying to keep these two, because of the size of them is about the same, so we'll keep these two roughly about the same prices, and the ones on the other side, just a little bit of a variance in those prices.
And this is what we were talking about before with the frostings, obviously.
Correct, yeah.
Above here, so what are we at, like about 1.5-ish here?
Yep.
But then everything's frosted below.
Yep.
And as far as price difference is concerned, you guys set on prices yet, or you're still letting the market determine with feedback?
Pretty much letting the market determine the price. I've got a set price in my mind that sits on the feasibility. We want to try and sell maybe some of these while they're under construction, just so I sleep easier at night to be able to pay back the loans. But we really want the market to do what it's doing at the moment to match the feasibility. So the interesting thing about this site, Todd, is that the council has instructions around water runoff. So this site we actually need to do impermeable paving, which is far more expensive than just normal paving.
And this is a lot to pave. As I'm walking backwards as you're talking, we're not talking about like sort of 30 square metres of paving here, are we?
No, we're talking about 250 square metres of paving needs to be completed on this project.
That's massive. And what's the price difference roughly between like normal pavers and the permeable paving?
Normal paving's around about $36 a square metre, and the permeable paving's up around about the $96 a square metre. So certainly a cost that you'd like to try and do a little bit cheaper, but again, you've got to deliver on what you are supposed to deliver on.
So Gary, I think I wanted to wrap this up with, first of all, saying thank you for showing us around.
Pleasure.
This is really, really cool. So excited to hear at the final numbers when this is completely done. I don't know when this episode is coming out, but I'm sure you and I will stay in touch. I did want to ask you, what's your action step? Because this has been quite a journey for you. And if you were listening to this back in 2018, when you had that realization of, uh-oh, I've got to do something quick, what's an action step that you should have taken then? Or actually, I guess you have taken some pretty good action steps, look at where we're standing, but that someone else can take right now if they're listening to this?
Probably the ordinary can do something extraordinary just by committing to actually making decisions and then moving from those decisions onwards.
Take action, don't just sit on the sidelines.
Exactly right. I think sometimes you can sit there and think about it too much rather than just going, you know what, let's take the first step and then take the second step and just move on.
What is it that's going to keep you moving? Because this is the deal that's essentially going to unlock you. From what you've said, like, you could stop now, but from what you and I have been chatting about, like, you don't really want to stop.
I'm loving doing these things, and for me, I'm able to add value to lots of people. Buy well, add value well, sell well. That then, for me, gives value to other people, but I've enjoyed doing it.
Love it. Gary, I've got to ask you the most important question of the entire show. What is your favourite pizza?
I'm a Supreme. Pizza. Yes, yep.
Yeah, pineapple or no pineapple?
Probably no pineapple on the Supreme. I don't mind pineapple, but not on the Supreme.
Good man. I knew I liked you for a reason. Gary, thank you so much for sharing your story, mate, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks very much, Todd. Enjoyed showing you around.